The potions classroom was colder than the rest of the dungeons. Harry sat near the middle of the room between a nervous-looking boy named Theodore Knott and a girl whose name he hadn't caught yet. Malfoy was 2 seats ahead, sitting with Crabbe and another Slytherin boy. The Gryffindors were on the other side. Hermione Granger, the bushy-haired girl from the feast, sat at the front with her quill already out. Professor Snape stood at the front of the room, writing instructions on the board in sharp, angular script. He hadn't looked at the class yet. The door opened. A Ravenclaw girl hurried in, flushed and apologetic. Snape turned. "Late," he said flatly. "Sorry, Professor, Sit." She did. Snape's gaze swept the room, pausing briefly on Harry before moving on. "You are here to learn the subtle science and exact art of potion making. I do not expect many of you to possess the predisposition required." His voice was quiet, but it carried. "However, for those of you with ambition, talent, and the discipline to follow instruction, I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses." Someone in the back shifted. Snape didn't acknowledge it. "Today, you will brew a simple cure for boils. Instructions are on the board. You will work in pairs. Begin." Harry glanced at Theodore Knott beside him. Knott nodded once, already pulling ingredients from his bag. They worked in silence. Knott measured out dried nettles with careful precision. Harry chopped the snake fangs the way the board instructed, 4 pieces evenly sized. It felt mechanical, simple. Across the room, Hermione Granger's hand shot up. "Professor, I've read that adding porcupine quills before removing the cauldron from the heat can cause—" "Miss Granger," Snape said without looking at her, "if I required a recitation of the text, I would have assigned one. Proceed with the instructions as written." Her hand lowered. Harry stirred his cauldron counterclockwise. The potion turned pale green, then gray. It smelled faintly of sulfur. "Potter?" Harry looked up. Snape was standing 2 tables away, watching him. "Your clockwise stirs. How many?" Harry blinked. 3? "The instructions specify 4. "Right. Sorry." Snape's expression didn't change. "Precision, Mr. Potter, is not optional in this classroom. If you cannot follow written instruction, you will find yourself in remedial study rather quickly." A few students glanced over. Harry felt his face heat. "Yes, sir." Snape moved on. Knott leaned in slightly. "He does that to everyone first year. Don't take it personally." Harry nodded, but the weight in his chest didn't ease. When the lesson ended, Snape dismissed them without ceremony. The Gryffindors filed out quickly. Hermione Granger shot a look back at Harry, not hostile, but searching. Harry looked away. Malfoy caught up to him in the corridor, Crabbe and another boy trailing behind. "Snape's always harder on Slytherins. Keeps us sharp. Can't have the house looking sloppy." Harry adjusted his bag. "Right. You did fine, though. Knott's decent at potions. You got lucky with the pairing." "I didn't do anything." Malfoy's flicker smiled. "Exactly. That's smart. Let someone competent handle it first year, then step up when it matters." Harry didn't respond. He hadn't been trying to be smart. He just hadn't known what to do. They walked back toward the common room. Malfoy kept talking, something about his father and potion ingredients, but Harry stopped listening. The common room was fuller now. Older students occupied the chairs near the fire. A group of 3rd years were playing some kind of card game at a corner table. It was warmer than the classroom, but it still felt close. Harry sat near the window, staring out at the murky green of the lake. A few fish drifted past, pale and aimless. "Heir Potter." Harry turned. A girl stood beside him, tall, dark-haired, with an expression that was polite but distant. He recognized her vaguely from the sorting. Daphne Greengrass, maybe? He wasn't sure. Hi, Harry said. She tilted her head slightly as if waiting for something. When he didn't continue, she sat down in the chair across from him. I wanted to introduce myself properly. Daphne Greengrass. My family holds estates near Wiltshire. Right. Well, you already know. I do. She folded her hands in her lap. I imagine the first week has been overwhelming. A bit, yeah. Of course, it must be strange returning to our world after so long away. She paused. I understand your guardians were muggles. Yeah, that must have been limiting. Harry didn't know what to say to that. Daphne's expression remained even. Still, I'm sure you're adjusting. The expectations here are different, but they're not unreasonable once you understand them. What expectations? She blinked. Socially, politically, you're the heir to the House of Potter. That comes with certain responsibilities. Harry stared at her. I don't... What does that mean? Daphne studied him for a moment, her polite mask slipping slightly into something closer to confusion. Your family seat, your lineage. Surely someone's explained this to you. No one's explained anything. But, she stopped herself, you do realize that people will approach you differently because of your name. There are alliances to consider, expectations of conduct. I don't know what you're talking about. Daphne's expression cooled, not angry, just distant again. I see. I'm not trying to... It's fine, she said, standing. I assumed you were simply being cautious. I didn't realize you genuinely weren't informed. Her tone was neutral, but something in it felt like a door closing. If you'd like guidance at some point, my family would be happy to assist, but that's your choice, of course. She left before he could respond. He sat there staring at the space where she'd been. Heir Potter. She'd said it like it was a title, like it meant something he should already know. Across the room, a few older students were watching him. One of them, a sixth-year boy with sharp features, leaned over to whisper something to the girl beside him. She glanced at Harry, then looked away. Harry turned back to the window. He didn't know what he'd done wrong, but he knew somehow that he had. The test had already happened. He just hadn't known he was taking it.